Good morning, all. Camelback Trading 2724 and the pitfuturestrading.com coming to you this Tuesday morning, March 10th. We're looking at the market profile of the SPY ETF. You're looking at yesterday's range. I'm in 10 tick increments. You see where we're trading now. So after a gap of over 600 points to the downside yesterday, our second one, after closing towards the low, just missing going out with a price probe, here we are this morning, trading $12 higher and looking to gap higher. Gaps are a form of emotional trading and what I like to say, nonsensical trading, especially what's gone on. Gap down 600, go down even more, now gapping higher. It's just nonsensical trading. We traded up to a very visual spot pre-market around the 287 level, which has been a key level for me forever. So let's go over destinations and a game plan for this morning. So right now, with just over an hour to go, we're going to use yesterday's high on both sides of the equation in case we don't gap higher. So right now, 284.19 is yesterday's high, and then filling the gap at 290.23, 604-point gap. Now, inside of that gap, two important levels. Number one is the 287 level that I've always talked about, and the second right now is the pre-market high of 288.45. Okay, so those are two levels that would have to get taken out prior to filling the gap. If you're able to fill that gap, then we have 295, and the gap gets filled at 290.23. Not sure if I had said that. Above that, we have 295.07, 9 wide from the 6th. And then we don't have anything until 298.78, daily high, and then filling another gap at 300.01 from March 6th. For the downside, we're going to use yesterday's high, if we gap higher, of 284.19. If we don't gap higher or the gap gets filled, again, until we get more market-generated information, we don't have anything to the pre-market low, which as of right now is 281.22, and then yesterday's low of 273.45. And again, there's three levels down there. Look, one day doesn't make a market at all. But there's three levels down there that so far, right? Yesterday's low of 273.45, monthly low 273.09, monthly low 272.42. So, if they're able to hold, you could have yourself a triple bottom. What would I like to see happen today? To see if we did put in at least a short-term bottom? I would like to see us get back into yesterday's range. This isn't healthy. Just gaps all over the place, this down. I would like to see us get down, back into yesterday's range, form some kind of a base, hold M's high at least, and either close above yesterday's high, somewhere in the gap, I don't expect the gap to fill, to show that at least we didn't even attempt to get to yesterday's low. That would be ideal. We'll see if that happens. Because if we open up here, get into the gap, trade around the gap all day and everything, again, it's just emotional trading and stuff. I'd like to see a push down on decreased volume. That's important, decrease in volume, and then come out of the day or close inside of here, but with volume that was a lot less. We did 309 million shares yesterday. That's the second most since we started this downturn. But again, for my money's worth, it was still short-term traders in here. So, as far as the game plan today, well, look, I've been telling you this now for a while. For me, there is absolutely no reason to make a trade here in A period, right? Here's the gap. Here's yesterday's low. You know, it's a $6 gap. You know, gap rules apply, but which gap, right? Do you sell it in the gap? Do you buy it in the gap? Yeah, sure, you could buy it here and you know you're out if you fill the gap. You can do that, right? I'm about $1 higher. So your risk reward isn't that bad, right? You could still take out a good part of this gap. So, I mean, that isn't, you know, you're going to have higher value. So if you open around the 285, 285.50 level and you want to take a call play, you can certainly do that. And then you're out if the gap fills. I think the 287 level that I talk about, and then again the pre-market high will be two levels you're going to get some kind of speed bump at if you continue to get higher in this gap. So that could be a put play if you want, right? You take a put play between 287 and the 288.45 level, right? You know you're out. You fill the gap. Now, again, we're talking about pretty big parameters, but in this market, you're going to have to stretch your parameters because that's how it's trading. So those are two trades you can take. A short around the 287, 288 level, out if it fills that gap. A long around the 285, 285.50 level, out if it fills that gap. Will I do either? Probably not. I have no problem waiting for more market-generated information where in B period, if we start one time framing down, say we got up to 287, we start one time framing down, I'd feel more comfortable taking a short because we're most likely going to fill this gap, and vice versa. So for me, you can take those trades, but I would most likely wait for more market-generated information. And then chart-wise, again, I'll just show you the weekly and daily today. So the weekly, don't forget, we had an outside week down, right? That's pretty powerful. Do the sellers give it all up? Well, for them to give it all up, that means the gap has to get filled and accepted back into last week's range. Now, in this type of market, it's certainly possible, but we're going to see if we ought to get that much into the gap and into the previous week's low, how much sellers defend it. And then on the daily, right, after being in a balance, we're down. Now we're attempting to gap higher today. Now, the bottom of that initial balance was 285.54. So even, obviously, before we could even fill this gap of 290.23, we have to get accepted back into the low of the 7-day balance. So that's an important level too, 285.54. At some point, if you get accepted back into it, even if we don't close the gap today, but we close the day inside of this day's range, well, then the odds are going to be decent that at some point you will fill that gap. So a lot happening, and that's why there's absolutely no reason to trade so early. Again, you'll have multiple opportunities. So I'd be smart and I would wait. There's a lot of visual levels I just gave you, especially if it's shorter term traders that are starting to take control of the market again. If they are, you're going to get very visual levels that they stop at. Good luck trading today. Have a great day, and we'll recap at 4 p.m.